Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Ryan Chapman, and this is an update on the Fall Spring Project, a tribute to Tony DeAndrea. And I wanted to introduce you to some of the UTC graduates that have helped me bring this project to life. This is Randy Burt, Robert Groves, Joe Evans, and Tommy Ogle. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Good.
I just wanted to start off by, getting a little history or a little background on everybody that's in this group here. So why don't we start with Tommy? So what brought you to UTC and like how long were you there?
Well, actually, Tony brought me to UTC. He was at all the All East competitions and everything, and so during breaks and everything, we're walking around the halls. He'd run out and grab people and talk to them, and I was one of the ones that he grabbed and pulled in and talked to about UTC, and just kind of went from there. And I started there in the fall of 1990, and then we'll say off and on, I was there through probably 2002, off and on.
Okay. What was your major?
Music ed.
Oh, okay, cool. So, what are you doing now?
Now I'm working in big insurance.
Nice.
So I'll sit behind a desk and do technology stuff.
Cool. Have you done much studio recording, home studio recording?
Here and there over the years, I do have a setup at the house to where I can do that. Obviously,
Right.
so I'm by no means a professional at it, but I am set up to where I can do it, and I've done a fair bit, I guess, over the years.
Cool. Let's go over to Robert. So what brought you to UTC and how long were you there?
Well, I'm from Chattanooga, but same as Tommy, Mr. D just talked to me whenever he would come to any of those events for ETSBOA or just any concerts around town. So he's the one that brought me there. I started in 1995. I was there for a while. We'll leave it at that. But I got a degree in a bachelor's degree in psychology, and then I came back and finished my music ed degree. And now I'm a band director, and I'm also a trumpet player with the Air Force Band, Tennessee Air National Guard over in Knoxville.
All right, cool. Have you done much home studio recording?
I've dabbled with it. Being a band director in this day and age, you have to be somewhat versatile with technology. So I just kind of use the technology that I have for my band program and just mess around as much as I can. Not as much as I'd like, but
Right.
and I'm also one of the audio engineers for my unit, so it helps keep me up on it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. How about Joe? What brought you to UTC and how long were you there and what'd you do? What's your major? That type thing.
Sure. Yeah, I graduated high school in '98. At that point, I was kind of aimless in my educational pursuits, so I just went ahead and went to UTC. Always been big into music. Played, through high school band, guitar, and while at UTC, I started, playing with the jazz band there. Really enjoyed it. From there, Tony, as well as some of I think you guys even got me in touch with some other musicians here in town in Chattanooga. So I was actually at ETC for just 2 years, '98 through 2000, and then I moved to Knoxville and completed my music degree as a Bachelor of Music in the Jazz and Studio Music program up there.
Cool. Very cool. So what are you doing now?
Well, these days, since then I came back into town, I was teaching for a short while at Chattanooga State, helping out with the jazz band, private lessons. Tennessee Temple, kind of the same thing. Around that time, I ended up having a kid, and actually went back to school initially for nursing at UTC, but then transitioned over to medicine thereafter. I came back to Chattanooga after med school, completed residency, at Erlanger Hospital, and I'm now a hospitalist there.
Okay, cool. Well, have you done much home studio recording? I mean, it looks like you're set up in a studio there.
Yeah, this is my home. It is a home studio. Done quite a bit of recording here in the studio, although this will be the first, I guess, the pandemic virtual streaming project I've done, which is kind of fun. It's been a learning experience for sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. All right, Randy, how about you? What brought you to UTC? How long you were there, major, what have you?
So my major was music ed. I think it was always inevitable I was going to be there. It was just an assumed thing. I had a very different experience from Tommy, as far as Mr. DeAndrea bringing me in, because I almost never talked to him in high school. One time he walked up to me at, I think, UTC honors or whatever, and he was like, "You're going to UTC." And I was like, "Okay." That just happened. I was really immature and directionless, so I was like, "Hey, that sounds great." Plus, I'd seen all the great saxophone players. Like, I think so. Tommy got there before me, so that's probably a bigger part of the story. But I would say that I think the concerts I saw when I was in high school were probably Scott Monroe lead alto. Tommy, is that right?
Yeah, Scott Monroe lead alto.
Gotcha. And I think I never remember his name. There was a ridiculous Allen tenor player. Is that right?
Alan Wyatt?
Yes. Yeah. So like there were some ridiculous players then that I was like, okay, well, if I can get in their atmosphere.
I didn't know he went there. That's interesting. Okay.
Am I wrong? I could totally.
Oh no, I was just guessing.
Who did you say, Randy? Because I actually my internet just bugged out, so I didn't hear what you said.
Alan Wyatt.
I know Michael Wyatt went there for a semester or two. His brother.
Oh, did we freeze? Uh-oh.
Anyways, there were several people that were just in the stratosphere that
brother.
Why would you not want to be in their orbit? So that's kind of where it went.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what are you doing now?
Well, I taught in Virginia for like 10 or 12 years, and moved to Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I am now. Taught here. I did some technology stuff when I first moved here. Then I taught for like 5 or 6 years here. I had some minor medical stuff that I had to take care of. And I also had a kid who's 5 now, Oliver. And so now I'm starting to getting more into computer coding. And that's kind of where we are now.
Cool. Very cool. You done much home studio recording?
Throughout time, yes, but recently, no. The project that we did, I actually recorded on a 2011 MacBook Pro, so that should give you an idea of how far out of it I am.
When's the last time you touched your horn before this?
I may have touched it once in the last 3 years, but it would have been for something very minor, like just some kind of things. So I don't play anymore.
Nice. Well, sounds great, man. You still got it.
Yeah.
Randy will always have it. He'll always have it.
You guys keep lying all you want to. I'll soak it up.
Anytime I think of Randy, I think of that Sanborn tune "Snakes" that Tony always called. You guys remember that? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember the melody, but that was me thinking about that. Was kind of a little bit of inspiration for why I tried to do like a funk section on this tune.
Well, that's very cool.
So anyway, let's move on a little bit more. Let's talk about Tony a little bit. Tommy, do you have a fond memory or something that you really remember about Mr. D?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to remember about Tony, but just a couple off the top of my head. One thing that he was really known for, especially during the concerts and everything, was just the way that he shook his butt up on the podium, and everybody talked about it, especially like moms. All the moms in the audience would talk about it, and it was just wonderful. And just I remember. He was not just about music, even in the classroom, in private lessons and everything. Anytime there was an opportunity to guide you through a life event or just offer advice or even just be an ear to listen to you. He was there and he loved doing that. And that was just who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I remember him for.
All right. Cool. Robert, what about you?
He did shake his butt a lot. And that did get the crowd going, but you also can't forget about taking the jacket off.
Yeah.
When the last two, you take the jacket off and then shake it a little bit more. But yeah, no, there's, like Tommy said, there's so many great memories of Mr. D. The biggest thing that just sets him apart from everybody else for me is just the way he just makes you feel welcome at home. Like, he could be pissed off, just he's coming at you like a bear, but 5 minutes later, after it's all said and done, he's like that cool uncle that you want to hang out with after the show.
Yep. Very cool. All right. Do we freeze there? I think Robert froze for a second. Let's go on to, how about you, Joe? Do you have any fond memories of Mr. D?
Oh yeah. Being from Chattanooga, and my parents were actually avid UTC fans. That we would go to ball games as a kid. Seeing him out there with the pep band, the marching band on the field, and the football games. That was kind of my first experience and my first exposure to Tony. And naturally, my mom pointed out the fact that he was shaking his butt a lot, and that's what she loved about it. So. But then when I came to college, met him there. I think around that time I started playing with the Monday Night Big Band here in Chattanooga, and got to kind of know him on not only from a teacher role, but also on a kind of a professional and it's kind of a colleague, so to speak. And then obviously as time went on, I got back in after the second wave of school, got back into playing with the big band again, and really kind of got to know him a lot better then with the big band and playing along with him. That was probably my best experience with him, just getting to know him on that level and just have him talk unbridled and late night in some dark bar. That's probably the best memories I have of Tony.
Phi Mu Alpha was making all the freshmen take up the ladder from the stand on the field or something like that. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I never had to do that. Like, sometimes I would ride over to the field with Tony and he would just be like, "Hey, are you coming?" And so I would just get in the car with him while all the freshmen were putting the ladder away. But anyway, Randy, what about you? What you told me one particular fond memory that was good. Do you have another one, or you want to tell that one?
I mean, probably Tommy and I have very slightly or very different experiences, because those private lessons, man, like that was like going to surgery, because it was intense. Like, if you weren't ready, what Robert said about it'd be over 10 minutes later. It wasn't exactly like that in private lessons. It sort of kind of ruined the rest of your, week, because you're like, he's mad because I didn't practice. And he should be. But no, in hindsight, you guys know, but I was, immature and completely self-absorbed at that age. And I imagine that Jenny DeAndrea had seen many days that he came home going, "Oh, dear Lord, that guy." So there's that, but from the other side of the butt wiggle, I will say that of the memories, probably my favorite memory, and there's a ton of them, again, we're almost 3 decades in, but what I loved playing with him. I loved when he played with the jazz band. I loved during lessons when he would get his horn out and be like, "All right." And I'd be like, "Oh, okay, well, this just became special," because to have that much ability, that much charisma, that much command, that much just confidence that oozes out, it just strikes awe in you. And I was too young to really soak it up at the time like I should have, but in hindsight, I'm like, oh, well, this totally makes sense. So every time now that somebody's like, so who was the father figure? I'm like, well, my dad died when I was 9. So it's Tony DeAndrea. It's a no-brainer in hindsight. Then I was too, teenager or whatever to even comprehend it. So yeah, it's just, his presence, it's enormous.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like what Robert said though, like if you were screwing up, like he would let you know, and like you felt bad about it, but then he was right there encouraging you, 5 seconds later after he's done being mad at you, he's like, all right kid, let's go.
I wasn't always 5 seconds, like Randy said. Sometimes it lasted a little bit longer, but because I know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the punishment fit the crime. I'm not saying he should have got over it quick. I'm saying sometimes you're, so off that it's like,
right.
Yeah, I messed up a whole lot.
Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, like if you missed the bus for the Savannah trip.
Yeah.
And hey, speaking of being mad, and then 5 minutes later, whatever. A good example of that was one of the concerts that we were doing, a concert band. We were playing Carmina Burana, and Randy, I know you were there for that one. Not sure if Robert, you were in there for that one, but we were one of the movements that we were doing ended really with a lot of intensity. And I was really into it. And at the very last note was cut off. And for whatever reason, I thought there should be a stinger. Ooh. And so I played that stinger loud and proud, just like he always told me, if you're going to make a mistake, make it with confidence. And buddy, I was probably the most confident I've ever been with that mistake. And so with the Roland Hayes Concert Hall dead silent and that note ringing out, I could see his face start turning red. And he was looking at the side of his head like this, trying to see who did it. And I just was like this, just deer in the headlights. We moved forward to the rest of the concert. We're walking off the stage, and he's always at the door, shaking hands and hugging people, going back to the band room. And I got up there and I was like, oh man, he's going to kill me now. And he's like, Tommy, man, he said, you find out who the jerk was that did that, and you really give it to him. And I'm like, dude, it was me. It was me. And he just let out this biggest laugh. He's, gave me the biggest hug and said, it'll be all right. That's just who he was, though,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Well, I'm glad you guys you were all able to participate in this project. This was something. Lowhorn passed away, and I found a voicemail. It did that whole tribute to Lowhorn, and like while I was doing that, I was in the process of that project. That's when Tony passed, and I was actually kind of thinking about him the night before that he actually passed, and I was kind of writing this tune, and I had part of the melody. I was finishing off the melody, and was starting to work on the chord changes, and then next day I found out that he had passed. So that's kind of how this project started, and I basically finished it in about a month or something like that. And how life kind of takes over. Like I wound up getting a new job, and after I'm teaching, so after the school year is over, it was time to get on this project, and I'm really glad you guys could help bring this project to life. I really appreciate it. Does anybody want to say anything else, or thank you guys for coming on.
Well, thank you for doing this, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I just love doing anything that I can, to keep his memory going and just to show everybody how important he was to so many people. He changed so many lives for the better. So
yeah, thanks for having us on, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys doing it. It's part of the thing was like I was saying, I thought about, Tony always liked to to put in a nice funk tune to shake his butt to, so that's it was a ballad. I had to do that, and I thought about Randy and Snakes, and so that's kind of the direction that the music took. So, but anyway, all right. Well, thanks, Tommy, Randy, Joe, and Robert once again for contributing to the project to celebrate the life of Tony DeAndrea. The Fall of Spring will be released the week of July 12th. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Great to see you, man.
Appreciate it,